Okay, for the almost last section of this video module, I brought Barbie back. And we'll talk about her a little bit later as we started with the invention story of her. And I will use it to explain and continue to explain this real challenge of innovation. And you might remember from the last module where we said the way how we manage something depends very much from the way how we think about it. And this is what we call academically in innovation management, the so-called exploitation exploration paradigm. And it really builds on this one big challenge in the innovation process, on really balancing short-term profitability and long-term sustainability of your company. And we can see this as the yin and yang of innovation management, the so-called exploitation exploration activity. What are these terms? Exploration is the one side of what we have to do in innovation management. And exploration means really we act like an explorer, we create new things, we create new capabilities. Exploitation means we build on what we have. We continuously improve to make more money. We continuously improve to the quality of our products, create more variants, continuously improve the features of our product, and so on. And one of the really main tasks in the company is to balance these two perspectives. This idea has been suggested by James March, a famous organization scholar, who wrote in a very highly cited article about this exploitation and exploration. And he says exactly exploration includes things captured by terms such as search, variation, risk-taking, experimentation, play, flexibility, innovation, and it really refers to this radical, disruptive perspective of innovation. Exploitation includes things like refining, choosing, production, efficiency, selection, implementation, execution, and it's more about this incremental performance improving. And he says, and March research has showed it, that firms really need both sets of activities. We both have to engage in exploitation, but at the same time, really, we have to engage in exploration. But as the execution of these two sets of activities demand very different capabilities, processes, thinking, belief, firms often focus on just exploitation, more short-term thinking, and therefore fail on the long run. So exploitation really means to improve your established business, while exploration means to create new businesses. So strengthening and extending the core versus creating the new. Let's first look into an example from the automotive industry. The automotive industry is very, very good in exploitation. They are good in setting up very big infrastructures for production and continuously improving them with process innovation. They're also very good in exciting us as consumers with new car models on every car show. However, nowadays we know there's also a different kind of innovation in the car. There's all this automated drive. There's a funny Google car. And a company suddenly like Google going into the automotive space as perhaps they have better and more capabilities to do this autonomous driving. Or here on the lower right end, Car2Go, which is a business by Daimler, where their idea is not that you buy a car, being it a large or small one. No, you don't buy a car, but you share a car. So it's really a car sharing concept, an entire service concept. So if I'm a boss of an automotive company, how much of my investment, of my management capacity, should I put in exploitation? Probably a lot. But still, should I explore the other side as well? Should we become a service company? Why is it that Google and not the big automotive companies are really now known for autonomous drive? So how do we really balance this too? And this actually can be shown brilliantly also at the perspective of our nice Barbie. Do you remember how Barbie came to market? It was not the result of a systematic process of managing innovation, but it was a user insight and a user innovation from an outsider. However, then over the years, the product became so successful and Mattel set up big processes of excite young girls and perhaps also boys every day and not every year with new Barbies. So they were perfectly in exploitation. And on the last toy fair, there was the next variation of Barbie now becoming a superhero. And they did this since 50 years. However, a few days later, they fired the chief executive. It's probably nowadays, after 50 years of Barbie, the product is not so appealing any longer. Modern kids want perhaps different kind of toys. And the Mattel had to leave the company as the Barbie sales continued to slide. As perhaps a focus on just exploitation, every year some new Barbies, dolls, but more or less the same toy did not achieve. But actually at the same time, perhaps a little bit too late, Barbie is also, or Mattel company, really exploring very new kinds. So they recently said there's an internet connected doll. And so the doll now is not a doll, but it can speak to you. It had voice recognition. It can ask you a question. Perhaps the Barbie becomes your learning tutor. With this, however, the Mattel company has to learn very new capabilities. Think about now, I can hack the Barbie of my neighbor girl and put some obscene things in her living room. So you see, there's a lot of responsibilities, privacy issues suddenly coming in the hand of Mattel, and they have to become like a computer company. And that's exactly the decision of the board of Mattel. How much do we invest in the next superhero Barbie? How much do we really connect our Barbie with the internet and make a mini computer out of it? How do we really balance between both perspectives? Definitely the computer Barbie is much more risky than the superhero Barbie, but perhaps provides also more opportunities for long-term survival of our company. And this really, balancing between these two perspectives, is one of the core responsibilities of innovation management. Perhaps for this, let's retire Barbie for a moment as now we really get serious. As this is perhaps the largest challenge and something that is called ambidexterity, a complicated term. And you see here the definition. So the ambidexterity is really a test of the intelligence of a human being, that you are able to do two opposed ideas in mind at the same time. Some people are really good to doing something with this hand and something totally different with the others. I am personally not good. But this is what we would call the person has ambidexterity. And the same has to be true for innovation. So in the context of innovation, it means that a company has a capacity to simultaneously achieve alignment and adaptability at a business unit level, meaning at the same time do exploitation and exploration. At the same time earn money by doing the next version of Barbie, and at the same time engaging in creating really a future Barbie, which may be a very different concept and business model behind. And to master this is really difficult. Think about, in one of the other modules I showed you this picture, where in one of the success factor studies, a consulting company asked chief executives what are the biggest obstacles you face when it comes to generating return on your investment. And two of the main the two core things were really the risk-averse culture and the lengthy development time. And what is this? This is exactly our exploration bias. As if your problem is a risk-averse culture, well, I create a very open culture, expose my employees to new things, I hire a lot of fresh people. But with at the same time, my probably is a lengthy development time. Well, then I need rigid exploitation capabilities and it's very rigid project management and no fancy innovation camps. So you see here, to address the two largest challenges seen by managers in innovation, you need very different things. And still, you have to execute them at the same time. And now you could just say, well, if this exploration is so difficult, just let's focus on exploitation. And actually, if we look at the type of launches of new product, most of them really go into the exploitation camp. However, if you see on the revenues and especially the profits, we see that exploratory activity is much more profitable. Why? As these products are really new to the market. They really help you to differentiate your firm. They really meet very novel customer demands. So just with this picture already you see there is a big appeal to do exploration. But as this is risky, we also need exploitation. So we really have to balance these two activities at the same time. And one of the answers how to do it actually is innovation culture. And often if one of my students does not know an answer in an exam, I tell them just say innovation culture, it's always the right answer. And this is really what we understand if we talk about a culture for innovation. Part of this is really balancing this too. However, there's another perspective, and this builds on this unsolved matrix we had earlier. If we close a little bit with really going back to and put this into perspective, this idea of balancing exploitation and exploration, put this into perspective in what we learned earlier about the different types of innovation. Then you may remember we had something where we said we can distinguish the market on do we serve existing customers or new customers, and do we do it with processes that fit very good to our current organization, exploitation, or do we have to create new processes, exploration. And when we look into this matrix, we have here the core business. And the core is we improve the processes we are good in and serve our existing customers in traditional ways. Sometimes a performance innovation starts here. So we serve our customers in very novel ways. We introduce new processes. Sometimes this is good, but often this is also the so-called poor dog, according to Michael Porter, that the company is stuck in the middle, that they do something what they're really not good at. Then many German companies, for example, are very good in adjacencies, meaning they can bring what they can do in the German market successfully to India or China or other markets. So they do what they do good, but they do it in different markets. So already a little bit of exploration with regard to marketing activities, while from a research perspective and operational side is pure exploitation. However, real exploration, and somehow the holy grail when we talk about innovation, is this what Johnson called the white space. That we really create products that target new customers or our existing customers in a fundamentally different way. And that at the same time we really build new processes, new products for it, which really help us to differentiate us from the rest of the market. This is often where product innovation is not sufficient, where we really have to engage in business model innovation. And this is exactly the typical thing where Barbie perhaps wants to enter with the internet connected Barbie, as if you think a little bit about it, we can do much more about it if Barbie becomes your tutor and earn much more money if we are paid by the improvement of your grades in school and not just by selling to you a one-time Barbie. But to do this, we need new activities. And the problem is, the more we move to the white space, the more we engage in exploration, and the less we do core innovation, the more we have to build our decisions on assumptions. And this is what we hate as managers. As managers, we like to build decisions on knowledge, on hard data. However, the more we move into the white space, the more we have to manage on assumptions. And this very much is the essence of doing successful innovation management. Of course, you need knowledge as a base, but you have to be able to deal with assumptions. And therefore, one of the latest, more recent best practices in innovation management are not only all the tools and procedures to develop successful new products, services, or processes, but is a similar idea to systematically develop new business models. And this emphasis on business model innovation, conquering the white space in the moment, is one of the hot topics in innovation management. And it just really emphasizes an innovation system that allows firm to deal with assumptions about the future, to create and test new business models as systematically as new products, and to systematically engage in exploration on top of exploitation.